Hi everyone, hi TK Tribe, how are you? Welcome to another episode of the Redirection with Terri-Karelle podcast. It is so good to always have you. Thank you very much for the feedback. I think I'm in agreement with all of you when I say every time you think an episode couldn't get better, guess what happens? It absolutely does. And I think it is smashing that we've been able to get some really phenomenal people, different backgrounds, different experiences, different stories, very relatable stories that I think will resonate with a lot of you. If you're just joining us for the very first time, you stumbled across me, it's a pleasure to meet you. I am Terri-Karelle Reid, and this particular podcast is brought to you by MasterCard in association with Heineken 00. With MasterCard, even though we're speaking about redirection and rejection and resilience and resistance, we also want to remind you that you must always be grateful for those priceless moments. And of course, Heineken 00. Same great taste, zero alcohol. Now you can. I just want to give a big shout out to Tony Aiken, probably popping up somewhere around my head. That is my sign language interpreter, and she's going to be holding it down for the deaf community. Thank you so very much to Toyota Jamaica for sponsoring that facilitation. And in case you haven't noticed, look at my fantastic set. Thank you, Spaces. And before I actually get into who we'll be interviewing today, what I want to also tell you is I just wanted to give a big shout out to Commercial Concepts. They are the ones behind the production, behind the shots, behind the movement, behind the looks, behind the quality. They were with me when I launched my book. They were with me for my book video. They were with me for my audiobook announcement, and it was only fitting that they would be my partners, my production partners for season 2 of the Redirection with Terri-Karelle podcast. So good to have them. If you want to get to know me a little bit more, you can find me at Terri-Karelle across all social media platforms. And don't be afraid to go visit my website, terrikarelle.com. More information is there. Have the conversations happening in your community, in your space. Please go ahead and use the hashtag TKRedirection. So the question, who's coming next? Punchinella, little fella. Everybody knows that song, or am I too old? Come on now, I know you guys know that song. Sing it with me. Coming next to the redirection seat is a lovely woman who I had the pleasure of working for and meeting, and there was something that she said that was so profound. If you want to find someone who is the epitome of resilience in the face of rejection, if you want to meet someone who has been graceful and gracious in all the redirections of her life, trust me, you do not want to miss this interview. Who am I sitting down with? The one and only, the lovely Sophronia McKenzie. I'm so excited. Hi, Sophronia. How are you?
Hi, Terry. I'm tired.
You're tired? Well, I know, because you got in yesterday, and I just want to say thank you for taking the trip. When we sent the invitation to you, you were like, listen, date, time, booking my flight, coming. I really appreciate it. I know that you are an extremely busy woman, so to give me your time and your company, yes, I do not take it for granted. I hope that my Toyota Jamaica family took care of you.
Yes.
Picked you up at the airport. Yep. Okay, and they're taking you back safely. I met you just recently, actually. You engaged me as your host for the launch of your baby. I'm going to call it your baby. It's your product. Tell my viewers and my listeners more about it.
All right, so Visu Eats, my baby, it is a photo menu app for restaurants. So when you go into the restaurants, you either scan the QR code or you can download our app and you're able to see a picture of the menu items. So you're able to eat with your eyes before you even taste it. And then we're building out the platform so it's a turnkey solution so you can process your payments, delivery. We've launched reservations already. So I'm really happy about that. So it's available for download now on the Google Play and App Store.
I'm so proud of you. So on the night, we're all gathered there. The room is packed, right? You got an amazing turnout from your guests. and you're on the stage. Of course, we did our briefings, we did our meetings, and there's one sentence that you said that stood out the most to me. So we're all seeing the beautiful pictures, we're seeing the app, we're seeing how the app works, and we are proud to see you as this Jamaican woman. And for persons who may not know you personally, you are petite, you know, and you kind of said something like, yeah, this girl came to foreign with how much money?
$100.
$100 in her pocket. And I think in that moment I went, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times we see the glory and the celebration and we see the milestone, but a lot of the times I don't think we realize the struggle and the challenges that people have to learn to overcome. So take me back to little Sophronia. In fact, before we even get there, did you ever imagine that you would be a representation of Caribbean, black, female tech?
No.
Short answer, no.
No. But I did know that I had a calling. I remember vividly when I was in high school, and you know, in high school you try to find your identity. And I remember, and nobody in high school never heard this before, but I remember saying to myself, because my best friend at the time, Rain Seville, she could sing.
Yes, everybody knows Rain Seville, of course.
She could sing. You have others who could dance. And I'm like, I can't sing, I can't dance. What's my talent? So I was like, okay, how can I, like, what's my talent to make me, you know, identify?
Right.
And then I said to myself, well, I like modeling, so, and then I'm always petite, and then I also said to myself, well, like, I'm book smart. So it was between identifying with being a model and book smart. So I said that to say, like, I always wanted, and my mom and my uncle would, from I was a little girl, always said to me, you're a movie star, you're a movie star.
Yes.
So they would always, like, affirm me. So I knew I had a calling, but I just didn't know what that calling was supposed to be, outside of just helping my family and being the one that stood out. But for the wider community, no, I didn't know that at all.
You touched on a very interesting moment there, or an issue that we so often overlook, the fact that we're always trying to find out what we're good at or try to discover ourselves, right? And with the pressure of not just society, but we have teachers and communities, and depending on the communities you're raised in, whether it's church or home, sometimes we feel pressured.
Yeah.
We feel pressured to either follow in our parents' footsteps, or our parents go, well, that looks like a great industry for you to get into. And then we see our colleagues who seem to be doing so well, and they seem to have everything figured out, and we're just kind of like, I don't really know. Was it pressuring for you to try to figure out what you think you would have wanted to achieve at some point?
It wasn't pressure in that regard. The pressure would come from, for example, if I got a B plus and I would show mommy my report card, she would say, okay, why you never get an A? Yes. What happened to the A?
Good old Jamaican parents.
Yeah. So it was more from, I knew I had to always do my best, because mommy used to always say this, mega shame, mega shame, mega shame, Lord God, mega shame. If a teacher would call her, because I'd give trouble in terms of I challenged the status quo always in school. Okay,
so you were one of those children who the teachers would probably say either back chat or don't know, to just to shut up.
Yeah, and just shut chill. Up. Like, I have an answer for everything, and if you're going to tell me I can't do this, I'm going to be like, okay, why? So even in high school, when Mrs. Harrison at the time, who was our principal, because I went to Woolmer's, said our entire fifth form was the worst fifth form ever, and we're not going to get a graduation ball. And I was like, she not talking to me. And that was my first knack at entrepreneurship, where I was like, hey girls, so we're gonna have our ball. And I organized that whole thing, sold tickets, the whole 9 yards. So in terms of, like, the pressure, I just knew I couldn't shame mommy, because she can't go to town and shame.
Correct.
Correct. Like, getting pregnant in high school, all of that jazz, I could not.
That was just a no.
My mommy, yeah.
Nice.
It was like a no.
Single parent?
No, daddy was there too.
All right, so talk about the dynamics with daddy.
That's so funny. Daddy's little girl, his princess.
You guys always are. What's going on?
Yeah, so And daddy, at the time, he was my best parent.
Okay.
Do not get emotional. So in high school, I never really had a good relationship with mommy. Okay. We are besties now, and I love mommy. I love mommy. I love mommy. I love mommy. But in high school, and I'm her only girl, right? So in high school, I never had the best relationship with mommy. Yeah. Because I just felt like no matter what I do, it wasn't good enough, right? So daddy was my go-to person. Ride or die. Yeah. And then he eventually left Jamaica when I was in, I think, second form or third form. And you know, third form is like, for me, it's like where you really decide, are you going to be a good person or a bad person? And I was just trying to find myself. And I had a run-in with one of the students there, and I told her a curse word. And they called mommy in, and she slapped me in my face in front of everybody. But daddy wasn't there. And I said to myself, if daddy was here, that wouldn't happen to me. Yeah. And there were other things that would happen. And I kept saying, if daddy was here, that wouldn't happen to me. So when daddy was wanting to come back from England, and mommy sat me and my two brothers down, and she said, your father wants to come back. Do you think I should let him come back? And both my brothers said, whatever you guys,
whatever's comfortable.
Want, mommy, it's you. And I just said, I want my daddy back. And because he was my protector, he was like my hero, he was like my go-to, like, you can't play with me, because if you play with me, I call daddy. Yeah,
if you play with me, you're going to play with daddy too.
Yeah, so I have a beautiful relationship with my dad to this day. And the relationship with my mom changed when I left Jamaica.
Tell me about how that relationship, I mean, and I'm going to ask you how, you know, you took the journey, you went abroad, and how your professional journey starts. But let's talk about the relationship, because I've spoken to a couple of guests who've had to reconcile with the parent or with a parental authority. And it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not easy. How are you able, or how are both of you able to release, forgive, and heal, or to try to heal? Tell me about that.
Okay, so first, because I did two times I went to the US.
Okay.
The very first time was in 2006, and at the time I was in a relationship with somebody that my mom didn't want me to be in a relationship with, because before in high school, and I had presented wanting to go away to college because I heard my friends talking about it, and mom said no, like her only girl.
Yeah, you stayed right here.
Yeah, and at 15 too, because I finished high school at age 15. So when I presented it back to her in 2006, so I was like 19 years old at the time, because she didn't want me dating that person, immediately, yes, let me send her out of this country.
Escape, go away, be far, far away.
And I literally asked her that question. I was like, Mommy, how did you end up telling me yet? Because she never had a budget, planned nothing, because she paid for my college tuition at FIU out of pocket as an international student. So that was super expensive. And she said to me, because I didn't want you dating him. So I left, went to college, everything. And when I graduated, the plan wasn't for me to stay, Terry, in my mind. Even though,
come home.
Right, even though when I graduated from university, I got a job who was sponsoring me my work visa to eventually my green card.
Wow.
And I said, no, I want to come home for more reasons than one. And I came back in 2010. And I'll get into that, but to answer your question, so when I came back in 2010, and depression, all of that jazz, then in 2013, October 5th, 2013, I went back, and I went with $100 and 5 panties to my name, but I stopped saying 5 panties because I don't want to be known as the panty girl. But literally $100 and 5 panties in my carry-on suitcase, and maybe 1 or 2 shoes and a few pieces of clothes, because I went back to start my life. So to answer your question, how did that dynamic change? When I came back in Jamaica and going through a lot, when I went now to the United States in 2013, I knew I was starting from scratch.
Yes.
And that claw that my mom would have in me, because being her only girl, and she was there for her mother, and I am this person for, you know, the family, and I'm like, I'm starting from scratch. My foundation has to be good, you know? So before I can even do anything for you, my foundation has to be good. So it can't be like the typical, oh, she they're foreign, so credit run America, so she can buy me this, get me this. Like, I had to put my foot down. But clearly, to answer your question, in 2014, my mom finally came and visited me. and I did not like her behavior. Like my job, because I was doing door-to-door sales, come up people yard and knock on them doors.
Knock on people's door and cold call, cold knock.
It wasn't like a real job to her, so I need to drop her back at the airport, all of that jazz, not trying to plan around my schedule. It was a complete mess. And Terry, I just remembered vividly, I said, boundaries, no. I didn't even call it boundaries at the time. But
because we only learn a term.
No.
Like, no, it's true, it's true.
I literally put my foot down and I called my mom when she was on the way to the airport. And I never told her any curse words. I never cursed at her, but I just looked at her straight, on the phone. And I said, Mommy, Gawain, which is my older brother, he's in Cali. Him talk to me when he want to talk to me. You don't call him, you don't bother him. If you ever treat me the way you treat me again,
that's it.
That's it. You will never, ever have access to me ever again. Like, I really just put my foot down and let her know, like, I am your daughter. You are my mother.
I love you.
And I love you, but our relationship is optional. Like, I have to get me right. You cannot do this to me. And that's when the shift started happening, and where it's like the respect factor start kicking in for me. And then so my younger brother would say, it's only Sophronia alone, you're afraid, or whatever. But it switched then, where just as how I honor her as my mom, she honors me as her daughter.
Were you shocked that you made that decision? Were you shocked because you really wouldn't know how she would respond to you?
No, because when I came back in the US in 2013, I almost died when I was in Jamaica. So if this dynamic between her and I don't change, mega dead. It's like, I'm not gonna evolve. I'm not gonna bloom like how you want me to bloom, Mommy. So it's either I'm alive, and we have a great relationship, or I'm alive and we don't talk, or I'm dead. Because it's like depression is a thing,
right?
You know?
And we're there because I heard you mention it, but thank you for answering the question in terms of, coming to that point where you identify what the issue is, and it isn't that I don't love you, it isn't that I don't honor you, but I do not feel valued, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure. And by the way, I've heard a lot of. I'm an only child. So I can't relate to any no. But whenever I speak to women who said that they had brothers, they had siblings, or maybe they were raised with male cousins even, the demand and the expectation and the pressure that was put on the girl was very different and very evident in comparison to what was put on the boys. The boys were given room to grow, to make mistakes. Yeah, man, you will come. Yeah, got to try out something. But for you, it was you had to be perfect, and you had to be responsible for everyone else. And your success was success for the entire family. But not many women are able to say, I love you. But if we're going to continue to do this, you're going to have to respect the boundaries. So I'm going to go back to high school. I'm going to go back to you getting the opportunity. You go to university. What do you choose to study? Because you said you were book smart. You were thinking about the model thing. But you get to university and you have to now choose subjects that will help to streamline what your career path will look like. So what did you choose for yourself?
Accounting.
I'm like tech coding, programming, web development, accounting. Talk to me about that.
Well, I do have an associate's degree in computer science. So it's funny. Let's go back a little bit. Because I kept the ball in fifth form, I didn't get accepted to Wolmer's for their sixth form. Like, I could check every box in terms of how many, your CXCs you're supposed to have and everything. But they were like, no. You're not coming to our sixth form.
This is because you went ahead
Rebellious.
with the ball after Mrs. Harrison said, y'all are the worst bad broke picnic ever, and you're not having a ball.
Correct.
Oh, so you went ahead. So when you were saying that you handled tickets and you put it on, you just went and did that on your own?
Correct. I didn't have Wolmer's backing behind me. No, I did that all on my own. Like, sell them tickets, get the hotel. I think it was Hilton's ballroom at the time. Mommy was my chaperone, and I got one teacher, Miss Rodney, to support me, and she came and as a representative from Mummos. But no.
So your rebellion and your action and acting out against the desires of the institution or a particular teacher, whatever the case may be, meant that you were now denied access regardless of whether you had the grades or not. How did that make you feel?
So,
it's okay, Mama. It's okay. Talk to me.
So that was embarrassment for Mommy.
The shame.
Like, and we went to the school and I never got accepted. So we had to go back now because she's like, okay, what are we going to do? Because I was 15 at the time. And we were deciding, okay, am I going to go like Meadowbrook sixth form or some other sixth form? I don't remember who said it to her, but recommended IMP, which now turned into UCC. For me to go in tech, because at the time technology was going to become a thing. And we went up to the school, and one of the teachers had said something to me, and you know, the shrug the shoulder attitude, and I was leaving with Mommy, and then she slapped me in my face.
Did you experience that a lot?
No, that was only twice. Because she wasn't somebody to beat, but she was very embarrassed. Like, you don't
whatever you do, you do not embarrass her, because then you do not know the unpredictability of how she will respond to it.
So I want to be clear, my mom is not like an abuser, but it's like those two were just main things to her, and she slapped me in my face and she called me out my name and all that jazz. And the reason why I teared up because he dragged me back.
Yeah. I
went home and I poured some Tylenol in my hand and attempted suicide. So, and then I called Daddy. Thankfully, he was home, but she didn't know how to react to it.
I'm so sorry, Mama.
It's fine. She didn't know how to react to it, and so she called Daddy and tell him she had tried to kill herself because she took some pill and whatever. So anyways, Daddy came home and he took me to Andrew's hospital, but they didn't know how to handle suicide. So they took me to UA, and then they pumped my stomach, and I stayed there for like 5 days and 4 nights.
Did anyone ever suggest, because you're young, you're a minor, underage, this is a distress signal, this is a stressor. Did you ever receive
therapy,
counseling? Was anyone ever notified, whether it was a guidance counselor? How did Daddy process that as well? Because, you know, it's a dynamic, it's a duality. It's having two separate parents who manage a child very differently and have very distinct relationships. How does he parent as Daddy when you are suffering emotionally because of the other parent? How did he parent you during this particular time?
I would say both of them didn't know how to handle it, and they handled it quite differently because, oh, Mommy, I love you so much. She actually came to the hospital to visit me when nobody else was there. I woke up and I saw her, and she was like, why you try to kill off yourself, you know? And then my grandmother, my father's mother, told me how Daddy acted. He called her, and him just bawl. And he just tried to like be there supportive for me and just like talk to me, and we walked through the whole situation and what happened, and then that's when Daddy moved out.
That's when he moved out. I got you. So here it is. You are trying to find the next step. What do you decide?
So then after that, I got into Vector Technology Institute.
All right.
Being the only female in the class, and graduated the top of the class, and I was doing Miss Jamaica Petite at the time.
Look as well.
You. And then I graduated from there with my associate's degree, and then got into UTech.
Yes.
And then started dating that guy, then pivoted to FIU, and then did accounting. Right. So that's where the accounting came in, and I went away at FIU and studied there for almost 3.5 years because I transferred from UTech to FIU. And
what was that experience like? I always ask students, I studied in Cuba. That's where I got my formal education to study veterinary medicine. What was that that period like for you, you know, leaving home and now understanding that you have full responsibility of yourself, your decisions in a land that is foreign, it's not home. What was that transition like for you?
I couldn't fail. One credit is $500 and you have to do a minimum of 12 credits per semester. So I couldn't fail my classes. Mommy was paying for this out of pocket. So I never had a university, college life experience. For me, it's just all the way.
Beat it.
All the way, yeah. Beyond the dean's list, you know, graduating cum laude. It's like, I could not fail. So that's it for me. I got it done. And when I graduated, the next step to get a job, which I did, and I started working as a staff accountant in Brickell, Miami. And
I love Brickell.
Then came home.
When you transitioned, because that's another transition, and we have quite a lot of viewers who are in that period where right, they're coming out of college, they're coming out of university, and then there's this transition into what we call the real world, the working world, the professional world. What was like? Was it hard for you? Because you seem like the person who goes in very focused, very dedicated. You probably learn very quickly, adapt. You're very agile. What was that like for you now leaving university and now moving into the professional world?
So I quit. I quit the job within 6 months of working there and came home February 2010. And I always said this, when I came back home, Jamaica boxed and kicked me. Slapped me up wicked when I came back home in 2010. And I came back home, I was...
and did you quit because you just found the environment was not fitting for you? Because I don't think it's the fact that you aren't capable. Right. Because you are a competent... Yeah. You're what we call a high performer, high achiever.
Thank you.
And is it that it just wasn't meant for you?
So when I was going to FIU, I was a part of an honor society called Beta Alpha Psi for accounting, finance, and MIS students, management information system students. And there was an experience there being in a part of that honor society that I wanted to replicate in Jamaica, where it provides you networking opportunity with recruiters. It gives you like etiquette skills, you know, and get you prepared.
Personal development.
Personal development, yeah, that's the term. And I wanted to replicate that. So I started a charity called One Touch Charity from when I was going to FIU, and got a group of my friends who attended Woolmar's, who was still living in Jamaica, to try help me to build it out. And we had like titles for them and everything like that. And then that started getting more demanding too. Of course. And then one night I was talking to one of my best friends at the time, and you know, she was going through her stage of like, you know, figuring out life and stuff like that. And when I hung up the phone, the next morning, her sister called me and told me she got raped. Like right after she hung up the phone with me. So I felt like that calling, that yearning for, you know, needing me, plus my charity. My brother said I came back because of the guy that I was talking to at the time. So it was just like a lot of things that was going through my mind, and I just felt like this wasn't the space for me here in the US. And
you felt like you had some sort of responsibility to give back.
Correct.
Home.
Correct. And I came home, and I say it was, before I used to say it was the biggest mistake I've ever made, but it was a lesson that I learned.
Talk to me about the lesson, because you said when you come home, you get boxed up
quick
and you get beat up. Talk to me about what that felt like, why you felt like that, and why you reframed calling it biggest mistake to biggest lesson. Yeah.
So when I came back, I was pushing my charity, everything, had a concert, all of that jazz. And then the home that we were sponsoring wasn't into the whole mentorship for the girls and the gifting kind, because we weren't giving them money, and they shut that down. And so that broke my heart. I dismantled the whole charity thing. Plus the relationship with the team members that I was having, it changed, and it was too pressuring. And I shut that down. And then I tried to get a job in corporate. You see, my heels not allowed in Jamaica, and I can't take the strictness. To me, I can't be bothered with it. How high a heel's supposed to be, how your hair. I can't be. It's like, what is that? I need freedom. So, and that was different from what I was used to overseas.
Abroad,
yeah. So coming here, that was too much for me. I remember one company that I worked at, they had a whole staff meeting over shoes just because of me. And then I got a job at a bank, and the culture at the bank, it was horrible, and I decided I was going to quit. End up got to HR, and HR asked me why, and I tell them about everybody, how them behave, and then they have this
culture.
Yep, and they have this big staff meeting because of what I said, and then the people them not like me. So I had to leave that job. I was like a hot mess, like not navigating people and how to. So, and then I left that, and then I tried to do like a TV show called Island Breeze, where you go to restaurants and hot spots, and I had no money. And we end up creating the pilot, and then I pitch it to CVM, and then CVM was like, I love the concept, but you have to reshoot the pilot. I'm gonna say, your mother, where am I gonna get money from for reshoot this? So I was like, and I throw that away. I was like, I was done with that. And I
did you ever feel like, how can this be me when I have done so well and I have done everything that by right, academically, you're told, go to school, get the grades. Once you get the grades, everyone's going to want to hire you. You get to choose where you work, and then you'll make money, buy the house, and you live happily ever after.
All
so
a lie.
At what point were you just like, but this don't make no sense? Or at what point did mommy say, so, me spend all of this money for you to come sit down and care? Like,
you know what's so funny, Terry? Like, literally after mommy even funding my tuition for university, mommy went broke. Her business started going under like real fast, went like real broke, and so it became a hard point. So at what point do I realize like it's not working out? I realized that I would say maybe like 2011, yes. 2012 maybe, and I fell in depression.
Wow. Like
shut down, lock away in my room, like full depression, eating one time a day because that's what we could afford. Like no money. We bridge light for how much years? We bridge water for how much years? Like religiously, every Friday the light man come for cut the light religiously.
How did you manage this? Because you're still expected to show up in the world. You're still expected that when people happen to see you and they ask you, how you doing? To say, I'm fine. How are you? To be really glossy.
I went down to 70 pounds or 79 pounds, I think it was. I went down to 79 pounds. The helper, one time daddy visited, pulled daddy aside, tell him that he needs to take me to the doctor. They gave me, they said I diagnosed me as clinically depressed, gave me tablets. I started taking them, but I saw where it was going to get high. I threw them away. Mommy, again, didn't know how to handle it. And she, oh God, was going through her own phase. My older brother wasn't there, but my Grace was my younger brother, Charlotte.
Yeah.
He would religiously come to the room, knock on the door, and I had to come out the room. In Jamaica, we call it veranda. Mm-hmm. America, they call it patio. He would literally bring me out there so I get the sun, and he would take one of the chair off the veranda and put it on the car porch, and he would sit in it, and we would just talk. We would talk, and there was this one time that he said to me, I see your name on a door, and you're in your office, and he would just speak life into me. Because there was a lot of times that same suicidal thought would come back, but religiously, every single day, Shalon would come get me out of my room.
That's his check-in, and that's his check-up. When did you see light? When did you finally... You're hearing his words, but when did you finally see it and feel the light? And imagine Sophronia come up here and the first thing Sophronia says, no tears, Terry. No tears. I've gotten goosebumps because I think sometimes it takes one person.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't even know the impact of our words and how we could save a life by just being present.
Sheldon said to me, why you not try your luck again back in the States? But first he said Canada. And I said, no, it's cold. I don't want to go anywhere that it's cold and I get frustrated. And him said, why not try go back Jamaica? It just now work for me. Just try going back. That was the first light. And I said, all right, because one of the things that Sheldon used to do too, in my activities, him put a desk and chair in the hallway near his room. And him say, you're smart, you know, my sister, you're smart. Because figure out over win the lotto now. Study the lotto number, them there must be a trend. And him sit me down in the hallway passage, you know, like I always said it to him, like have me download the years back of the lotto number them for sit down and try study.
And you're gonna crack the code.
I am going to crack the code because that was one in hindsight now I'm realizing that was one of his things to get my mind busy.
Yes, keep it busy.
Yeah. So and I was doing that, but then he mentioned that to me. So then I was like, all right, how can I go back to the US? I believe in marriage, so I'm not gonna organize a business marriage. My family's here, there's nobody to file for me. I was getting sponsorship, so I have to do that again. So I sat down, and because the thing knowing is that that's where I'm getting like slowly pivoting,
and you're building out, you're thinking, you're going back to you, figuring things out. Nice.
So I sit down and I was like, all right, I research companies that sponsor the US visa, sponsor the green card, the work permit. The work, so I sit down and I map them out, and I tried to go back to the States. I was like, I don't want to go to Florida because it's too close to home and too quick for mommy can get access to me. So I don't want to go far. I actually wanted to go to California, but I had nobody there.
Way on the west.
Way over there.
Wow.
But I had nobody over there. So I called my cousin at the time. She was transitioning. She told me, no, I can't stay there. I called my sister. She had no space for me to stay. So everybody I called to go to New York,
there was
no. And then I called my ex-boyfriend's best friend's wife, aunt.
Your ex-boyfriend, best friend, wife's aunt. Yo, that's deep.
That's deep. Yeah, because she was one of them who always kept checking in on me because I met her when I was going to university, and she always checked in on me, and I was like, I want to come back, but I don't have anywhere to stay. Do you think I'll be able to stay with you? And she had a 1-bedroom apartment, and she told me yes. And she had this couch, sleeper sofa.
The futon.
Yeah, and she welcomed me in so I could stay there, and I slept on the couch. And so I came back with a plan.
Yes.
With my $100, my 5 pants and my carry-on. Like I came back and I was like, I am not going to make this mistake again. So that's why it was a mistake at the time. That's what I saw it as. But no, it was a lesson learned, an experience that I had to have. Because everybody told me don't come back. But I don't listen. I do me. And I had to have that experience. I had to have those lessons.
Yes.
And so that was where I got the light because of Sheldon saying go back. And
does he know that? Does Sheldon know that the turnaround, the turning point, that pivot was him?
100% he knows. Yeah.
I think what was profound about the fact that you said you touched bases with your ex-boyfriend's best friend's wife's aunt is because a lot of the times when we get our yes sometimes comes from places that are so far removed. It's not from the immediate circle. It's not necessarily from the family. It's not necessarily from the closest friends.
Correct.
But sometimes it comes from people who are not this person, but that person's person.
Correct.
And I think that even though you said it and I was like, what?
Yeah.
It is just how profound it is that everyone who was close enough to you, who had a deeper enough relationship with you, who probably anyone would have expected a yes or an understanding of all right, make we see what we can do. Instead, you got the yes from somebody who was just your ex-boyfriend's best friend's wife's aunt.
Yeah, and you see, in that moment too, Terry, what I want to share, those no's that I was getting, it never let me feel defeated because I knew I had a plan.
Yes.
You understand me?
Yes.
So I just knew at that time it's okay.
The right person is
going to tell me yes, because I am leaving and I have to leave, and when I go I have to have a roof over my head, even if it's temporary.
Yes.
So I just knew I needed to find my yes. So when she gave me that yes and I went, and it's so funny because at the time she loved me so much, but I couldn't receive her love at the time because she was saying to me, you know, like, if I had money, I would like pack a barrel for you so you could go back and sell some clothes and stuff. And that was her way of loving me, you know. And then one at a time I was like applying for jobs. She said, be careful because immigration will catch you. And
right.
So
she was a mother. She was actually mothering you.
Yes.
Why couldn't you receive it?
Because what her idea and what her plan or thoughts were wasn't the direction that I was going for. I need to get my green card and a company going to sponsor me my green card.
Amen.
Now tell me about no barrel for Jamaica, I'm not go back. Now tell me about no immigration that got trap me. That's not for me. Like this is my plan. I am going to get a job that's going to sponsor me my green card. Beautiful. That's my thing. So that's why I couldn't receive that love at that time.
Got you.
And it was like maybe 2-3 years later, because I eventually moved out and we never spoke when I moved out. And we never talked for like 2-3 years.
Oh.
Because we left, I would say we left on bad terms because her way of loving me wasn't a part of my plan and I couldn't receive her love. So I don't know if at the time I seemed ungrateful to her, but and as being mature now, I can say it's her way of loving me because at first I never thought it was love.
Got you.
So I never received it as love.
Got
I
you.
thought it was a stumbling block. Lord God, what I do? I'm nervous in the house. Every time I wash plate, I broke something.
Yes.
Like I need to run and I need to go now because you have propelled me back into the depression what I'm trying to escape from.
Got you.
So now being mature and can look back and stuff, I was like, she actually loved me.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't receive her love. So I ended up having conversations with her.
Nice.
And we could hash it out, and she's a sweetheart.
Beautiful. So you get there with your $100, your 5 panty, and your little suitcase. And you are now going to try and start a new life, a new plan, a new mindset, a new approach.
Yep.
How do we find that company that is going to help you get to your goal?
All the jobs I could get, it was a sales job, door-to-door sales. Of all the jobs in life, and just let me show you how God is, right? That job and the whole experience, remember no, when I was calling people and they're telling me no, that job give me a level of resilience. Like in my life right now at 36 sitting here, Terry, tell me something can do something and just watch me do it.
Boy.
That job was, I did that for almost 2 years where I went in the field. So I applied for a job online.
Easy. It's people disrespectful.
Gun drop on me, dog set on me, police called on me, and gun drop on me multiple times. I got kicked out of my territory with police, all of that jazz. My walk snake, alligator, the whole, because I'm in Florida, the whole 9 yards. It's like it was my walk till my foot swell up, black and blue, everything.
To get a sales.
Rain wet me down to my underwear. Like it's the hardest. When I'm done, like my black, like burn, sunburn, my ear burn off. Like I never know sun could have burned your hair. Like my parch. It was the hardest job in life and I did that for almost 2 years.
How did you, and I remember you mentioning it earlier because you said your mother basically was like, this is not a job.
Correct.
This is not a real thing. When you do, take me back when I do this. How were you able to not deviate from the plan? So how did you know that, girl, this is rough, but we have a plan?
Yeah. So the thing about it is, when I got that job, they sold me on the hopes and the dreams, right?
Course.
And one, I told them straight up, because any job that I would apply for, I let them know my status.
Yes.
And people would say, yeah, idiot, oh, you should do that. But I let them know, because I have no time to waste with you. If you're not going to sponsor me, let me go to the next thing. Yeah. So I told them straight up. And they said, okay, this is how you can get your sponsorship. You have to get promoted. You have to recruit how many people. And I was doing that. And then I said to them, like, I need to get sponsored. And then they said, okay, what's the process? Because I was their top seller. So either you're going to sponsor me or you're going to lose me.
You're going to lose your assets.
Exactly. And then they went through the process with me. I got their attorney for them signed up the documents, and that was my first shot there. So I got my work visa through a door-to-door sales job of all the jobs in life.
The one that beat you bad.
Listen, I got my work visa through them, but the work visa now, it have expiration dates on it, and at some point in time you need to pivot now to a green card. And almost 2 years in, Terry, I realized I'm not going to get my green card through them. And one Saturday in July 2015, I said, I'm done. I didn't have a backup plan. I had bills. I had end up getting a car. Let me show you how God stayed. You see, when I came back, it's redirection, right?
Yes.
So when I came back to the States and I started doing my door-to-door job, the first car that I got was this, not the exact same car, but the same model, make, year of the car that I left.
You're too lying.
I'm not lying. Of the car, I'm a goosebump. Of the car that I left when I left in 2010, because I left a car whole 9-yard thing. God gave me back. He must say, I'm put you back. Like, even just with that was really when I started to connect with God.
Correct.
Like, start hearing for myself. He gave me back that car. I never had no credit at the time, and how I even got it, the girl who was driving it, she was doing the door-to-door, she was going to go back home. And I said, let me take over your car payments, please. And that's how I got that car.
Jesus.
I had to share that because that was like my first part of like really hearing him and seeing that he's on this mission with me. And that Saturday in July, I turned to my mommy and I said to her, she was actually visiting me, and I said, I'm going to leave this job. And then she said to me, you know what, see if you get something else.
What's the plan? Yeah.
And I said, no. And I want to share this. James chapter 1 in the Bible, verses 2 to 8. The entire chapter 1 is something good to read, but read it 2 to 8. It talks about a doubting man.
Yes.
That when he's unwavering, God not did so. And I sat, because I used to read that a lot too. I used to read books too in my depression, and James chapter 1 was one of those that I read. Verses 2 to 8. And you see, when I decided I was going to quit that job, Terry, I quit it that same Saturday. And I went home and I applied again for jobs. The same method. I left Jamaica and I applied and applied. I quit the job the Saturday, Terry. Monday morning, I got a call.
No, ma'am.
I got an interview the Wednesday.
No, ma'am.
I went into that interview on that Wednesday.
No,
and
ma'am.
I interviewed with like 6 people, including the president. And you know what the president said to me when he was finishing up? No, he said, I hear you keep talking about Jamaica, and what's your status? I said, I need sponsorship. And he said, okay. And I got hired on the spot.
You were asked, what is your, that to me, it's amazing the things that people say that stand out to me. You were asked, what's your status? And the typical answer that someone gives is illegal alien, immigrant, undocumented. You did not identify as such. What you said was, I need sponsorship.
Yeah, I need sponsorship, so he knows what to do. I have no time to, like, I need it. I literally responded to him and said that to him, and he said, okay, not a problem. And they hired me on the spot, and I started 3 weeks later because they had to. That's my first step into tech.
Kidding? What a redirection.
But here's what's so funny about that. Remember I told you I had my associate's degree in computer science?
Correct.
Remember I told you I had my bachelor's in accounting?
Correct.
I remember I told you I did door-to-door?
Yes, ma'am.
He said to me, because they built their own software, so it was a document management solution. So they had their own software, so they needed people to be able to implement that software to their clients. So my associate's degree kicked in. So their software integrated in accounting programs.
Accounts, baby.
Kicked in. And then he said to me, if you can do door-to-door sales, you can do this job. Because you needed to be able to like talk to clients, and I didn't need to sell them, but I just needed to get it implemented. So that was my very first step into the tech industry.
That's amazing. Do you ever have moments of silence when you look back on the Sophronia who was broken, who was just like, I don't want to be here anymore, I have no value here, and you look at who Sophronia is now?
Terry, based on my experiences and things that I have done, I really, some people call it like manifestation and things like that, but God is in me, you know what I mean? Like, we are, you and I sitting here, we are the daughters of a king.
Amen.
You know what is a king?
Amen.
So if I am the daughter
the Alpha
of
and the Omega.
Yeah, if I am the daughter of a king, what can I not do? What can I not accomplish? And it's like, and I never always had that thought, and I never always had that feeling. But when you ask me that question, yeah, I look back now, and I don't just look back at somebody that overcomes things. I look at myself as, my daddy is a king.
Correct.
You, like, when you talk to me proper.
Talk to me nice.
Yeah, like what can you tell me that I cannot do? Because there's so many other things that I've done. So even sometimes when my brother asks me to do something and I'll say, I cannot do that, I'm like, that's a lie. You can.
Correct.
Yeah, but what can you not do? You know what I mean? Like, how can I come to the United States and say I'm going to get a green card through a company that's sponsoring me? Trump win the elections, and you know how much people come say, you get your thing yet?
Yes.
You get your thing yet? And I was like, that's not nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? Like,
that's
my
their thing. That's their problem, not mine.
Nothing to do with me.
So as you were growing, your faith became bigger than your fear.
Correct.
Your faith.
Correct.
Decided to take over the entire shop, so there really is no space for you.
Correct.
To sit on fear or to stand on fear.
Correct.
So you now get this in, you get this promise.
Yep.
You are gonna work.
Yep.
Because this is a part of your plan.
Yep.
But when I meet you,
yep,
you are Sophronia, CEO
yep,
of your own business. So talk to me about the transition from I need sponsorship to hello, CEO launching business.
And
you chuckled.
Because when that thought even came in, I wasn't a resident in the US. I still never got my green card. And no, Terry, I got my green card last year, September.
Don't know. No.
Yeah, so it was a journey. I got my green card last year, September 9th. And I bought a house before I even got my green card. I moved into the house August, and I got a green card September 9th. But to answer your question...
What month you born?
November.
I thought you were going to say April, you know, but
no.
my grandmother is born in November, and she has the very same gritty personality.
You want to know something funny? I born on my mom's birthday. You see that attachment?
Wow. And how is mommy now?
Beautiful.
With everything, you guys had your conversations.
Beautiful.
You spoke to her about your boundaries. You decided you were going to do your plan. You stuck to your plan. And now she sees the door-to-door that she was just like, this is foolishness, to where you are now.
You know how some people yearn for a man to like send them a good morning message and all of that? I look forward to mummies.
So nice.
I had to get mad at her and tell her, don't send me no forward, no message, nothing. Tailor my message.
The original.
Yeah, man. Type to me, no send me no chain, nothing. Type to me and talk to me. And religiously, every single morning, my mom, good morning, my beautiful daughter. And she just tell me, she speak life into me.
That's
like
beautiful.
Every single morning.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, man. There's how my mother messaged me, like there's nothing that I can't conquer.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And she'll pray for me like, man, mommy, like that's my bestie.
Amen. Well, I mean, I knew that you, just based on how your trajectory, you know, all turned out, and you launching your product as soon as you got your green card, you said, all right, I'm good now. Let's.
No. So what happened was in 2018, I got the idea for Visit Eats because me and my best friend Jess would always like go out to eat, and I got annoyed of seeing like the paper menus because I see pretty picture up on Instagram and video, and when I come to the restaurant,
it's like, what is this?
Yeah, I have to try to figure it out. So then she said to me, well, you're in tech, so why don't you do it yourself? And so it became like, all right, cool, and I started working on it. And initially, I wanted to pitch it to the company that I was working at, so they could
build it out.
Right. And then somebody said to me, "Why do that? Do it yourself." So it started to continue, and then COVID hit in 2020. Still not have no green card. Still working with that company, and I was like, God, you love me, no? Because look how you just solidified the QR code menus. because that wasn't a thing. So I said, look how you just make it easier for me to sell and let me know.
Expedited.
Yeah, and let me know that I'm on the right track. And then I realized that this company that I'm with, they got sold. And when it comes on to my green card, they're dragging their feet. So again, I have to leave. And I applied for the company that because I still work full time. So I applied for the company that I am at now. And it's the same conversation in the interview. When they offered me the position, said, thank you so much. I'm excited to start. But
However,
I need sponsorship. And they said, okay. I remember my vice president said to me, because the attorney that they got had saying she don't understand how I'm still in the country because my work visa expired.
These are godly things, baby girl. These are godly things. You're not going to understand, because when God move in, there are many things that are going to happen that's going to confound and confuffle and baffle people, boo.
Yeah.
It's okay, boo. We understand.
Yeah, she's literally, and I had to say that to her. I said, my journey is different. Don't try to, I literally in an email said, my journey is different. Don't try to question it. Don't try to understand it. She almost did not let the company sponsor me, because she was saying to them, like, there's a possibility that I would have to leave the country and I would have to work at a country where they are located.
Yeah, the investment is just too much. It's a hassle.
Correct. And then the VP said to me, well, if you have to move to go to Japan, I'll come with you. Wow. And they transferred all of my documents to them and sponsored me and go through that process with me. And I started working with them in 2021. 2022, yeah, because we're in 2023 now. 2021, yes, I started working with them. Still no green card, still pushing out Visa Eats. So at this point now I'm working remotely. So no, it affords me the time to put more energy
into your thing.
And I will say this to anybody who is listening: use your 9 to 5 to fund your dream. Don't knock your 9 to 5. Use your 9 to 5 to fund your dream till your dream is at a point now where you can quit.
I appreciate that point, by the way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times on social media, it almost seems as if there is some kind of shaming going on, because there's nothing wrong with entrepreneurship. The world needs entrepreneurs. But I don't think people also understand in this whole shaming argument that even when you become an entrepreneur, you then have to hire people. And you create a 9 to 5 around and for other people. And so I appreciate when you said, don't knock your 9 to 5.
No, man,
be grateful and be smart and be strategic about how you use that to help fund your dream. That's beautiful.
Yeah, because it makes it better for you, you know, and some of the tools and lessons that you're learning in your 9 to 5, you can apply that to your company as well, you know. And so with that, here I am now. I'm in programs. I was even just talking to Gabby, telling her that, you know, there is accelerator programs they can apply for and things like that. And I still never had my residency, and I got grants, not necessarily government grants because you have to be a citizen, but that helped pump into Visa Eats and help fund it too. But I never waited until after I got my green card for Visa Eats. I kept going, you know.
I think what your journey and just listening to you speak, what resonated in me is also that even if you're faithful, even if you believe in your God, you know that He is your Alpha and Omega. Even if you submit your life, your dreams, your goals, you know, where you plant your feet to Him, you still have to do the work.
Yes, you have to.
And so it's not just sitting down and praying and knowing that God will deliver, but also meeting Him at a place where when He looks at the work you've done, He says, you are ready for me to honor you and to bless you with more, because look at what you have done with less.
Because remember, the Bible telling a faith without works is dead. And for me, I feel like God amplifies the work that I'm putting in. Because I write goals, you know, I write down goals. I'll set the year what I want, and then I like going back, and I realize I don't accomplish it in this year, but I accomplish it 2-3 years later, and that's like you're on your path.
That's your journey. Yeah, that's your journey.
Yeah.
And by the way, thank you for being so open.
You're welcome.
I think people underestimate the power of their story, and I know just by sitting in this seat and listening to you speak, I know that persons are going to be like, yo, what a warrior. Yeah. And what she has been able to do has stirred up some fire inside of me. My last 2 questions for you. I mean, I picked out a priceless moment while you were speaking, but of all the struggles, the challenges, the pivoting, the redirection, the trying to figure out, the withdrawal, the going forward, What was probably one of your most meaningful life moments or experiences? One of your most priceless moments?
There's like so many to choose from. Or so many. I would say this. When I wanted to buy my house, I wrote down all the criteria as my must-haves or my like-to-haves for my house. And remember, I tell us I come with $100.
Correct, and 5 panty.
And my first house that I bought is almost $1 million, and it's brand new. And I'm the first person that living in there. And I bought my house basically 9 years later. And I moved in. I got the keys August 9th. And I got my green card September 9th.
Congratulations. So you were able to pull that off?
On my own. I know no husband, not knocking it. All
no,
God.
But this is your story. This is it's just been you.
Yeah, 100% me. And I lost friends on the way and stuff like that. But typically when you come to America and you're going to buy your first house, you're not going to where you go with brand new house and in the climate that we're in, with high interest rates and stuff like that. But I qualified flying colors,
Amen.
And the only thing on my checklist that I didn't get from a house was to have a window that I can open in my bathroom.
Wow. But everything else checked
else
off.
I got it.
My final question to you, you've experienced so much. I hope that you'll have the opportunity to speak to a lot of girls, that you will go back to being able to be given a platform where you can achieve the goal that you wanted for your charity, because your charity was a one touch. And it's because I believe that, maybe you had to dismantle it or put it down to the side. But I think what you have experienced and the insight that you have, not just here, but America, but it's also a career, it's professional, it's personal, it's depression, it's coming out of depression, it's family, it's forgiveness, it's healing, it's trauma. I believe your story will touch, and this interview will touch.
Thank you, Terry.
Many, many, many people beyond even what you would have wanted.
Thank you, Terry.
Years before. So the final question for you is, what is your definition, having lived it, seen it, breathed it? What is your definition of redirection?
I would say it goes to James 2. Mm-hmm. James chapter 1 verses 2 to 8. It really, when it comes on to redirection, I would define redirection as 100% unwavering faith. Pivot and pivot quickly, and just 100% faith. Because at the end of the day, when you get redirected and you look back, whatever path that you were supposed to be on, you're going to go back on your path. You're going to go back on your path, but you needed to get some type of tool. You needed to build some type of character. You needed to meet somebody, something to make you get where you need to go. But you have to do it with 100% faith. And you don't be a victim. Don't be a victim. Cry if you must. Even the other day, I'm in my closet, I'm a ball on the whole place. But you have to pick up yourself. You know what I mean? And when you pick up yourself, gotta pick you up too, and have one, not even an inkling of a doubt. Don't even say, but you're going to do it and you're going to get it done. Just like when I said that I was going to get my green card, going back on that path and get redirected, because I left and I get redirected as I go back on my path. I never say, I wonder if I'm going to get my green card, or
this will go hard, but
or I'm on the path now and see Donald Trump coming, so I might not get it, but I can go marry somebody. Like, no, like, stick to it, unwavering faith, and just watch it unfold right in front of your eyes. So that's what I would define it as.
And what I will add to that, to your unwavering, is do not compromise. No matter how many times you are redirected. Even when I heard you speak about the different moments where the life and the trajectory went like this, you never compromised on who you were and what you wanted, and you are still going to do it the way and in the manner in which you thought was one of integrity. And that, I think, is one of the sweet things about your story. I think I could have sat down and I could have spoken to Sophronia all day. I think it was just it's such a remarkable story.
Thank you, Terri.
And again, this literally was just at an event that I was hosting. I was hosting her launch, and she just went up to welcome everyone and to just tell everyone she was excited. And she just kind of said, "This little girl with $100 go off foreign and look at that." And I'm so happy that that moment led you to the redirection seat with me. Guys, I don't know about you. I thought it was such an amazing interview, such an amazing story. So you know what you need to do, right? When something nice and something sweet, do not keep it to yourself. Share it. If you know somebody who you know needs to hear this kind of story, somebody who needs to be picked up and dusted off, that they can try again, please go ahead. If you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead, subscribe, turn on the notifications so that you do not miss the other episodes that are to come. And of course, if you're listening on your preferred podcast platforms at PPPPP, please go ahead, leave your reviews, give us the ratings, give us your feedback, and of course, use the hashtag TK Redirection in your conversation. Thank you, as always, for sticking, for staying, for joining us. And Sophronia, we wish you journeying mercies. We wish that everything that you have for yourself and everything that you speak over your life.
Thank you, Terri.
We're not going to say we hope it will come to pass. We already know it is done.
It is.
We decree and we declare it. So until Sunday, until next Sunday, I should say, bye guys. Take care. Thanks to our partners, MasterCard, Heineken 00, Toyota Jamaica, Spaces, Commercial Concepts, Brescia, Beauty Brands by MDS, and Go Shore Courier.